Great, so let's get comfy. This is a leg behind the head. There we go.
I think I just pulled a muscle. We are back on the zoo, and I'm welcoming a friend of mine, Christine Lee. She is an acrobat. She's a television host. She hosts bingo games. But really, let's get back to the acrobat, because that's one of the most impressive things I've ever seen. How you doing, Christine? Welcome
I'm doing
to the
good.
zoo.
Thanks for having me.
Awesome. I was sending Anna Karen some of your videos.
Yeah.
What do you think about some of the things that she does in these videos? It almost seems like okay, I could
It's like
never do that.
multifaceted though, you know, because you not only have to be flexible, like I saw how high you were going on some of the, I was just like, I don't know if I can handle the height, you know, like,
Yeah.
that's amazing.
Yeah.
It's courage nonetheless.
How'd you get into this?
So it goes back a while. So I've been performing and teaching for about 14 years now. And believe it or not, before all of this, I was a muggle. I worked in an office. I worked at Microsoft out of all companies for a couple years. And when I was there, I was taking trapeze classes for fun on the side. And about 2 years into training, I went to the Caribbean to go practice trapeze and learn and train. And when I was there, the troupe offered me a contract to perform with them. And I was like, what do I do? Like, I'm like a normal person working in an office, and I kind of laughed at them. But then it really hit me. I'm like, this is my actual passion. This is what I love doing. Like, it's completely the right decision. So I quit my job. Everyone thought I lost my mind, but now it all makes sense. But yeah, that was 14 years ago.
That's
Yeah.
amazing. And so you're from the Bay Area, and
Yeah.
and so you were getting caught up in that Bay Area corporate game.
Yeah.
And what was the switch? I mean, aside from
Yeah.
being offered a contract, what was the switch in mentally that you had to make to be like, all right, I'm gonna completely shift gears in my entire life?
Well, that's a deeper question. So I was actually in New York at the time, so even more corporate. And I don't know if this is too much to share, but one of my closest friends actually passed that year, and she was the one who was like, Clee, and that's my nickname, Clee. She's like, you have to follow your dreams. You have to actually do what you love doing. And at that point, I was kind of at a crossroads where I'm like, okay, do I want to stay at Microsoft, which is a great company, great team, love them all, but I'm like, do I go follow my heart? Do I go join the Peace Corps? Do I go join the circus? And that moment when I got that contract, I'm like, okay, the universe is telling me this is actually what I love doing. So yeah, lots of different catalysts, but so happy it all happened. Not, of course, about my friend, but so glad she gave me that advice.
There's multiple signs that like brought you in.
Totally.
That's
yeah.
good. So did you start off flexible like that though? Or like, what does it mean to even start? You know, I might be interested.
You should come take a class. Yes, come take a class. I know, we're like 6 feet away. Come take a class.
Yeah, so how do you start with that?
Yeah, so I grew up doing gymnastics and dance.
Okay.
And then when I started doing trapeze at the Trapeze School of New York, it was, again, more for fun, but they were like, wow, you are picking this up and you love this and you have it in your body. So I did have experience, but I have so many students and friends that have no experience, no dance experience, and are amazing circus performers. So I think whatever age you are, whatever background, you could still be successful in it. So we should definitely do a class.
Now, when I met you, and we met through mutual friends, and I asked you what you did, you said, I performed in the circus, and I thought she was being a smartass. I thought she was being funny.
I was joking.
And you're like, no, I really do perform. So tell us about the circuses that you perform with and some of the other things that you do as an acrobat, corporate gigs and that kind of thing.
Totally. So it's interesting, in the circus, it's not just Cirque du Soleil. It's not just working for a massive circus. There's so many things now that are very, I would say, modern. So there's local circuses, there's restaurants, there's clubs, and I feel so fortunate that in the past 10 years in the Bay Area, I've worked for the most amazing companies, and they're anything from like event agencies like Entire or Circusphere or Earth Circus, and they do all the corporate gigs. And then I work at local restaurants and venues like Berber and others. And then you also do kind of one-off things. So you work at like a prom or a wedding. And then personally, I actually started a circus troupe called the Cirque Dalias. And it's 4 women that are all amazing. And the 4 of us decided, you know, why don't we create our own troupe, bring in our own expertise, and sell it. So we also book our own talent as well.
That's amazing. Okay, so if you practice.
I know. Who
You
knows?
could be a Dahlia.
Yeah. I love it. Can I get a shirt? No, just kidding.
Yeah, you really can.
Wait, I do have a question though. So what does like a day look like? Like you're part of this company, right? You go in, you create your own like routines, or you
Yeah.
have a choreographer that's teaching you? Like how does that work?
It's a great question. It is all self-grown, but I will say we've all trained with amazing coaches. So learning and training is the main thing. Like 2 of my main coaches are Serchma, who's in charge of the Mongolian Contortion Center, and Elena Panova, and Kevin, who was my first flying trapeze teacher. So these people have built us, right? And then from there, it is kind of on our own. So most of our choreo, design, costuming, everything comes from our own troupe. A lot of the agencies we work for provide a lot of that, but the choreo and like what is the day-to-day, like literally I'll wake up in the morning, I'll train at the Circus Center for like 6 to 8 hours.
Oh, that's wild.
Which is a lot, but it's cross-training, it's contortion, it's strength training, it's aerial, but we do most of the act creation, which is the fun part, so.
Let's talk about some of the things that you do as an acrobat in these shows and these performances. So you've mentioned trapeze. I've seen you personally do what you're going to demonstrate for us a little later on the show, whether you get some giant prop or a chair and you do some contortions and handstands, that kind of. Take us through like your moves. Like what are the things that you are known for?
Well, so in the circus, a lot of people think it's just like one thing. It's just the circus. There's so much in the circus, right? There's flying trapeze, there's clowning, there's juggling, there's sword swallowing. I mean, you name it. My main things, I would say, would be aerial, which is when you hang something from the sky. The video that you saw when I was up in the sky, that would be kind of my main favorite thing. And flying trapeze, which is where you fly like 30 feet in the sky and you're caught by someone and thrown by someone. That was my first circus love. And all the ground stuff is a little more recent. So that's contortion and hand balancing. And I love that as well. So I would say those are probably my 3 main things.
How do you practice flying trapeze? Because you can't just be like, all right, let me toss myself and hopefully you catch me.
You can.
Yeah, we have high ceilings. We can try.
Oh gosh, no.
How do you practice that?
You can. I mean, everything is just like learning
A
any
leap of faith.
sport, right? Like literally a leap of faith. That was a fun punny. Okay, but with safety lines and with harnesses, you can learn anything. Yeah.
So you got to find a circus center.
Right.
Yeah. There's a bunch in LA, a bunch in the Bay Area.
Do you consider yourself fearless as far as not being afraid of injuring yourself? And I mean, you seem like a fearless person.
Absolutely not. It's terrifying. I mean, I would say if I'm doing a show in a venue that I've done over and over again, then I'm just excited. But if it's a new venue, higher ceilings, you know, a different act, a different theme, of course, I mean, you get the jitters, but that's the best part, right? Like that's when you're actually feeling the rush. So I like the fear, but I'm not fearless.
What's the highest ceiling you've done, like aerial?
There is one that I did in Oakland at this beautiful wedding. It's called the Rotunda. I think I was up like 60, 70 feet up. Yeah.
That's hectic.
Yeah.
All right. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to go through some prep with you. Let's stretch out. Let's do some stuff. And then you're going to show us what you can do with a chair.
Cool.
Okay?
Sounds
We'll be
good.
right here on the Zoo with Christine Lee, the ultimate acrobat. Stay tuned. We are back on the Zoo with Christine Lee, the ultimate acrobat. And you were saying on the break that I'm exactly the way you thought I would be?
Yes. His offstage presence is the same as his onstage.
You've seen me chill though at the end of the night where I'm kind of like, low key, but low key for me is...
You have no low key.
Well, does she know me well? Does she know me well? But you can handle that because you got energy. You're very smiley.
Yeah.
What are you like when you're mad? Smiley? Are
I'm
you
not
also
mad.
smiling?
I never get mad.
But if you did, you'd keep the smile.
Yeah, it'd be like a grimace.
Anna Karen's just like that too.
like that.
All right, so really quick before we get into like demonstration stuff, what I find interesting is also being Korean. Korean culture is very conservative culture.
Oh, yeah.
So was there like a cultural kind of like break that you had to make when you're like, all right, I'm not gonna do like, the Microsoft thing like you were talking about?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, coming from a Korean American family, having lived in Korea for part of my life, I mean, the expectation is that I'm a doctor, I get married, have kids, live in a white picket fence. There's a very specific track that was expected of me, but, at the end of the day, I'm American, I was born and raised here, I care about following my passion, respecting my family, respecting my friends, respecting my culture, but I'm just so glad I still did it.
Well, look at you, you're on TV shows, you're doing all these major events, you're doing circuses, and now you're gonna take us through what you do. So,
Yeah.
I obviously could never do what you do.
You want to try?
Well, I've tried. I can't even do a handstand. So, and Karen, I'm going to be nice about this. You may be able to do what she
I'll do
does.
it if you do it.
Yeah.
Well, let me
Oh gosh. Oh gosh. Okay.
no,
All
that's
right,
about
all
as
right.
good as I can do. So,
45-degree angle.
what
Doctor.
before you do your demonstration, how do you start? Like, what are the stretches? But also, what's like the beginning? I guess handstands
Yeah.
are the first thing that you got to do, right?
Stretching and warm up
Right.
is the first thing. So anything, I mean, anyone who does yoga or any kind of acrobatic thing, you always have to start with dynamic motions.
Which
So
is?
things like making your shoulders open up. Yeah, that's
Join in,
good.
Anna
Yeah,
Karen.
or do it. Let's do some hip circles. There we go. This is pretty weird.
This is called isolations, right?
Yeah, exactly. So once all your joints are lubricated and you're warm, then you stretch.
Okay.
Then you could do things like handstands or ariel or whatever else.
And what are
Yeah.
general stretches? I mean, I basically do like like the triangle.
Oh, that's
sun.
special.
In those jeans.
He's so special. Maybe we could do a pike stretch. Just
Okay.
touch your toes. Keep your legs straight though. Yeah. There you go. Oh no.
Can
keep
you
your
touch
legs
your
straight.
toes?
Keep your I can't touch you, but yeah, keep your legs straight.
Okay.
Yeah. There
Can
you
you
go.
touch your toes without stretching?
Yeah.
without-
I mean.
Show off. Anna Karen, you
No,
want
I
to try?
definitely can't.
Anna Karen, I do not see Acrobat in your future.
She looks
got
good
it.
doing it though.
She looks
so.
good
I
doing
got
it,
it,
but
I got
Acrobat in the future is not. So we were talking about some of your moves. So obviously you do the aerial stuff. We don't got that set up, but I was really impressed with the things. You have this giant cork. This, if we get the picture, maybe we'll insert it. But you have this giant champagne cork that you
champagne
do
cork.
stuff. That
Yeah.
one is cool. That's heavy.
That thing's heavy. Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I was like, can you
Yeah.
bring the champagne cork? You're like, let's bring a chair, right? Okay, let's go ahead and bring the chair.
Wait, you know what's funny? You know how people, when they were doing, what is it, parkour?
Yeah.
And like around their house, do you
Yeah.
just happen to like get on anything around your house?
So actually, a story of the champagne cork was I was at a gig, and in the living room space of a performance area, someone had the champagne cork to put drinks on it, and my aerial partner Nina and I see the champagne corks. We're like, ooh! So everyone's drinking off of it, but we're like balancing on it.
That's
So
hilarious.
then we found it on Amazon and bought a champagne cork.
That's
yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
I found it.
So you're exactly right.
You're
We
right.
are
You're
those
like, I
people.
see it.
Like I
What-
look at a room and I'm like, I want to climb that.
That's funny. So when did you first like decide? Okay, I'm gonna be able to do this stuff on a chair. Like before you became an acrobat, were you already doing stuff like this?
No, of course not.
Wow.
You'd hurt yourself. Don't do this at home.
Okay, don't do this at home unless you train. All right, so go ahead and take us through some of these things because here's the thing about her. She'll start doing this anywhere. Like she'll take her to places and she'll be like wherever and she'll, like she just said, she'll see a rock, she'll see a flat plane of sand and she's like, okay, I'm gonna do a handstand.
Yeah.
She'll be upside down. Hi, guys.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah, literally, yeah.
Okay, so go ahead and talk us
Okay.
through what you're doing there.
Sure.
Do we have it in the right spot?
Yeah, this looks great. This
Okay,
looks great.
cool.
So this is just a normal chair. I have a few. They actually stack on each other, so I could do things from up higher.
my
but
God.
only had space for one in my car. But look, I can't even stand, but I could do a handstand. So from here, you could do things like handstands and hand balancing.
Wow. Upper
pretty
body strength is
exciting,
obviously
right?
a thing.
Yay!
That's awesome.
So that's an example, but there's lots of things. You can do flexibility things. Another one of my favorite moves, it's called a croc. Most hand balancers and acrobats do this, and you're able to balance.
A lot of leverage, obviously. You know,
Yes.
were you into yoga before you started any of this?
So that's actually a funny question. Anybody who's watching who's a circus performer, people always are like, wow, you must do a lot of yoga. And we're like, oh gosh, very different things. But yoga is amazing. They're just very different. Yoga,
Why do you have that reaction? Why
She's
do
not a
circus
yogi.
performers have this reaction?
She's not a yogi.
just a very different form of training. And yoga has many different types of things where there is crossover.
But there is that thing
yeah.
where you kind of like leverage your
Yeah. They'll even,
elbows.
yeah. There are a lot of similarities, but contortion training is very specific. So,
It's
yeah.
much more tight muscle. You know, you're not just stretching. It's there's a lot of muscular stuff going on.
Actually, it does apply for both. There's a lot of active flexibility, as we call it in circus, which is not only having the flexibility but the strength for it.
Okay,
I
not
know
just
that
the-
also exists in yoga, but just different.
Okay, not to
Yeah.
start a battle here, but I'm noticing some tension
There
between
is,
the
there is.
acrobats
She's
and
like,
the
"Don't you
yogis.
dare.
Like no, but she's like, but I mean, do you take yoga classes?
I have as like a relaxing thing.
But you won't.
Yeah.
But I'm noticing that you
More
have to
for
explain it because
meditation,
right.
yeah.
Because I'm noticing that like if you go back to your like acrobat mafia and be like, where were you
The
today?
mafia.
Oh, I was taking a vinyasa. You were taking a yoga class, they'll just look right
traitor.
down their nose at you.
So when you look at Instagram and look at any circus performers, when they post things, they always write #NotYoga.
Why?
It's a thing. It's a thing.
What is
but again,
going
I
on?
love yoga. I'm sorry for all
need
the
to look
people
that
out
up
there.
We're
No.
starting like, oh my God, this is like East Coast,
We're
West
starting a
Coast.
fight.
Yoga versus
Right.
acrobats. I get it, because there is a lot of moves and movements that maybe a yogi might think that they can do this, but this is a whole different thing. This is like
yoga
CrossFit
people
yoga.
can do it. It's just different, right? It's just a different goal. With contortion, it's for performance, right? It's for creating, something like a creative performance versus yoga is like a structure, right? So it's just different. Yeah.
Okay, is there any last thing that you can do on the chair that you might want to show one of your favorite? You're also you also love the thing, the ring where you kind of like in the minute she does it.
Is that how you do it, Humberto?
Go to her Instagram. What's your Instagram, by the way? We'll have it on the bottom.
It's Cirque du Soleil. That's actually my stage name, so it's CirqueDuClee.
And we'll have it on the lower there. But what's funny is you'll see like her in her living room, just like swinging around. It's hilarious. You're
With those sound effects every time.
Right.
You have me in the background, like just going crazy. All right, we have 30 seconds left, so go ahead and do one last thing to take us
We'll do a
out.
flexibility one. All right, so let's get comfy. This is leg behind the head. There we go.
I think I just pulled a muscle.
I'm amazed she has jeans on and she
I
can still
know.
do this.
She gets the really stretchy jeans.
Yeah,
Yes,
right.
I do. I must. Otherwise, I will rip them every time I
Not
go to
just
the park.
any type of jean, not a yogi jean.
And Karen, I've
Circus
noticed that over the course of this interview, you've gone from like, want to try this to, yeah.
I was just like, I don't know, I don't know if I can,
You're gonna try. You're gonna try.
Christine, thank you for being here. It's been awesome.
Thank
We want to
you.
have you back. Welcome to LA, and everybody who wants to get into this, go to her Instagram page and check out how she does it. And maybe you'll be inspired to do it, or maybe you'll be like scared from doing it. But either way,
No, don't be scared.
yeah, she's never scared.